So what do you do when the structures that you've built to grow your business are the things that start to hold you back from really transforming what you want to do?
You have to always be thinking about what got you here won't get you there. The team and the structure that you create when you first start should not be the same team that you have as you grow. That's tough, but it's the reality of it. And that's not to say that those people don't have a place, but you need a different skill set of folks based on where your company is. So, for example, if we were going to go public, you need a far different skill set of folks that are going to prepare you to go public than you would otherwise, right? If you were going to raise money and you're going from a Series C to a Series A, like we're going through right now, like it's like the toughest spot to be because you know who you need, you know what you need, but you just don't have extra funds to be able to get the talent that you need at that moment in time. Because the reality is, like, you have to show, and it depends on what business it is, but if you're in a business like mine, you have to consistently show growth.
Yeah.
In order to show growth and really be confident in that growth, you're going to need more people that are more talented, that have scaled things from this to this. Because at the end of the day, like from my perspective, the story I need to be able to communicate and really be behind 100% is like, how am I going to get a return for that investor's money or capital that they're putting in this business? And if you're not growing, like, and someone buys the stock today, you're not going to have that return. So you have to like focus on that. So it's really burning it down, you know, of what you created and like building it back up again. And you always have to be thinking about that.
So often we talk about business stuff on this podcast, but we also talk about personal things and personal growth and trying to provide people a way that when they get stuck on something, they have a way to transform themselves and keep growing. So I want to ask the same question again through a personal lens. What do you do when the life that you've built for yourself, the story that you've told about who you are, is preventing you from becoming who you think you can be?
Number one thing I found is changing your environment. It's really tough to have the change that you want if you're kind of in the same place. And the example that I've given on this podcast a number of times, my life is being in the factory, like working at the Ford plant. All I saw was what I saw around the walls of the Ford plant. That was my life, right? My dreams were limited to the walls of that plant. It wasn't until I got out of there that I started to realize what the opportunity was in front of me. I was so limited. I had such limited belief. You can also change your environment by moving. My brother is a great example of this. Like, he lived in Northwest Indiana, near where we grew up, which was like the southeast side of Chicago, the Calumet City area, and he found himself in tons of trouble constantly. It wasn't until he moved from that area, got help, treatment, and moved out here. It's not like it was a bad area. It was bad for him at that time to move to a different place, to change his environment, to get a new fresh start.
Yeah.
Remember when you're a kid and you have a room and you just like one day you just rearrange all the furniture in the room and it feels so fresh and new, but nothing's changed, right? Except you just rearrange the room and you have a different perspective on your room.
Yeah.
Very similar to that. Like, you just have to change your environment.
Yeah. Okay. So change your environment in a way of like, hey, I could leave the factory. I could find new kind of work. I could change my environment like your brother did, like literally moving. Like, I had to live somewhere else and create new connections. Tell me about your friend Ben's philosophy in terms of making that change and leveling the structures around him.
Ben has a real interesting story because what he did is he really focused on happiness and like what makes him happy. It was less to do with the monetary rewards that come with what I was talking about. Like when I was in the plant, I was like, I looked at things as like, oh, I can make more money or I could be more successful. Like, Ben kind of had a different lens. And to give a little backstory here, Ben was a person that we actually created a beer, Burn It Down. It was one of our first beers. I was inspired by him. It was called Burn It Down because he burnt his past and kind of created a new foundation and built from that. He was on a reality TV show called Sheer Genius, got a lot of fame from that show. He was a musician, and he was just like really kind of acclaimed stylist. And he then started drinking more than he should and just started to be unhealthy. And he suffered from a ton of depression. And he found that like the fame that he was getting from being on the show wasn't making him happier at all. And one day he was inspired by his wife, who actually showed him a video of the Iron Cowboy, a documentary. And he was like, I think I'm going to sign up and do an ultra run. And then he started running. He started getting into shape and started to feel so much happier in his life. And I remember running with him, and he was just like talking to me about how lean his life was now. Like he just had all this stuff, and he's just like, I'm just going to start over. And I think for him, that created a lot more happiness, which at the end of the day, like that's the goal.
Yeah.
Right? What are you doing it for?
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean also that you should have an expectation to always be happy. Like, life isn't about that either. But it's like if you're doing these things and you're just not reaching any sort of happiness, it's like, maybe you're doing the wrong things.
So he changed his environment by clearing the space within the environment that he was in, get rid of his stuff, but also
left the beauty industry.
Yeah, he wanted to leave, and he's got a quote I saw of him saying, "If you want to leave, run. You'll get away faster." And then got into ultramarathon running and all that kind of stuff. And it's just his burdens were the successes. It seems like he was starting to have, and that was becoming this trap that he made a very radical choice of. I think there's something more for me if I get rid of all of this stuff.
Yeah,
I want to tie this to Burn It Down 2.0, because it feels like there's a connection there, at least on a micro level, of you started this business, brewer's doing well, you making good beer, and then go, hey, this was the second beer we made, right? Let's get rid of it. Let's start it all over again. Was that kind of how you were thinking about there's more growth if we start over in some of these ways?
It was more of like that beer specifically, and a lot of times in life, like we tend to get, let's call it like complacent or stagnant, or because it was made a certain way, it's never evolved. Mm-hmm. And when you make a product, for the most part, if it changes and there's the same name on it, like the consumers that expect something and get something else, it's not a great thing. And the thing with beer is like one of the hardest things is being consistent. Mm-hmm. So we tried really hard to be consistent with that beer. But then over time, like from a sales perspective, it just was stagnant. It was just another thing in our lineup. Not only with that, but with a lot of our SKUs, we're like, let's reduce the SKUs that we have available. Mm-hmm. And let's focus on like a beer of the month, or let's focus on some new innovation, some new product lines, versus just like, oh, we're just going to do this because we always did it.
I think that's the thing that's most intriguing, though, of getting to that point to go, you know what? Why are we trying to fix this? Let's get rid of it. And now we can do something so much better, right? It's like just blanking out the page creatively and going, I have something else I want to say. That's even more important.
What's nice about this industry, unlike the last one where it was software related, when you create a business, it's like a plane you're launching in the air. And the only options you have are to fix and adjust the plane when it's midair. You can't land the plane.
Right.
Because if you land the plane, that's like a metaphor for like, okay, I'm just going to stop the business until I get everything perfect again. Well, with products like these, you can land the plane.
Yeah.
And you can say like, I'm going to land it. I'm going to put it away for a while. I'm going to bring it back when I want to, which is nice because it's like we're not beholden to any sort of third party telling us when we have to make something.
Right. So were there times in your life on the personal side of things now where to some degree or another you were like, I need to essentially burn it down? Maybe not all of it, but like these are things that I just need to shed completely. The story have been telling about myself isn't my story anymore. And I have something better if I completely reset.
The origin of Go is rooted in some of that, where I told myself the diet starts on Monday, or I don't have a drinking problem because I don't wake up and feel the urge to drink. And so I just decided to like burn it down, so to speak, and say like, I'm just going to stop drinking for 75 days and do this thing with my wife and this challenge and see how I feel. We would not be here today talking about this. So that's one major thing. Another that I could kind of recall, and this was more soul searching and probably like one of the darker moments in my life, was like right after I had back surgery. I was just remember laying on my couch, really just like after having been used to like pain relievers like Percocet for a long time and not really having a job I was proud of or liked, not really seeing a future. And I was 2 months away from having my daughter Morgan. And I literally couldn't walk. And I was just sitting there and I'm like, I just got to do something completely different. Mm-hmm. And that is when I started to get obsessed with like search engine optimization and learning and podcasts. And I took my learnings from working at the plant and working and in those 15 seconds in between building cars to study. And I took that same framework and I applied it to my life in a different way to say like, okay, if I'm going to go to the store, I'm going to consume educational content around these things that I want to learn. When my wife is watching TV, I'm going to throw on headphones and learn how to code again. And all of that I fell in love with, which is a hard thing for many people. Is like if you don't know like what your passion is or what you like all this becomes harder. But for me, I was fortunate enough to like find that I was really drawn to those things.
Yeah.
So by me having to start over and really kind of think about what am I passionate about? Like why have I done these things? And I started to like kind of lean in toward these subjects and these learnings that then really ended up transforming my life, because you're going to be good at something if you like it.
Yeah.
Right? Naturally, because you're going to do it more.
Yeah.
And it's just reps. And I just learned over thousands and thousands of reps and taking down servers and doing all these things that like enough to really have a good fundamental understanding of how the internet works at the perfect time. And I feel like that's happening right now with artificial intelligence, actually. And I'm able to develop at a rate that's mind-blowing. And every day I'm just like, this is like the best time to be alive. It's crazy. Like, and people look at me like I'm nuts. And I'm just like, I don't know how you don't see this like right now. Like this is like the craziest thing ever. So it's similar, but it's
So that was before you started the software companies. When you said you were in a job that you didn't like, that was you were working at
I left Ford. I had a really good job there, was a top performer, left after 10 years to run a car dealership from 2008 to 2010. And it was the toughest 2 years of my life with the economy and the major manufacturers were found in bankruptcy. Like it was really tough to be in a car business then. And on top of that, I had a debilitating back injury that can only make it through a day with pain medications and epidurals and all these things. I mean, I literally couldn't stand for more than 20 seconds.
Wow.
I couldn't walk. On my honeymoon, my wife and I were in Paris, and I could not walk. I remember vividly 1 block without having to sit on the bench. And she'd wait for me, and then we'd muster up enough energy to walk another block. And then a year later, I remember just trying to play volleyball with my other daughter, who was a little bit older at the time, and I couldn't stand for more than 15 seconds. And it was like that bad. So I would just have to take pain medication to get by. And the doctors I was going to were like, yeah, here's, go and see this massage therapist. And it wasn't until I found a doctor that's like, you'll never be the same. I started the marketing company in 2011 and then the software company in 2013. Mm-hmm. So it was really kind of gave me a brand new baseline of life of like, okay, I have nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. And
that's the entrepreneurial moment of, hey, you were in an industry that was well established, even though it was going through hard times. You were with companies and with a dealership. There's security there, I guess is my point. Like you could suffer through it, and at least you know that I'm part of a system here that is going to be comfortable as long as I can tolerate it. And instead, you were like, walk away from all that, go into total uncertainty with starting businesses from scratch.
Yeah. But I knew I loved it, and I knew I was like, especially focused in the automotive industry because that was my background, that I had an advantage there, that I knew I could relate to the audience and the customers I was trying to attract, because I had a track record of now I had this new knowledge in digital marketing, and then I knew the pain points that they were going through. So it was like a great time.
Yeah. All right. I just want to do like a full circle moment, because people should go back and listen to the podcast that you did with Ben talking about Burn It Down. So we'll link to that.
Oh, that's funny. I don't even remember. I mean, I remember it, but I don't remember it. Yeah.
It's good. I listened to it yesterday. So that's why it's in my head. But also, we're doing something with Ben coming up. So can you talk about his book, Burn It Down, the re-release, however you want to talk?
Yeah, we're going to re-release a beer. It's our kind of Burn It Down 2.0. He has a book that he just launched. It's on Amazon, and we could link to it from here as well. And it's really about his story. And I was fortunate enough to write the foreword in it. And he has just a lot of really good pragmatic ways of thinking about life. And if you do find yourself in a place where you're just not happy, how you can burn it all down and start over again.
So sell me on coming to this event here in a couple weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is.
Yes, we're going to have an event at Go, and Ben will be here. It's going to be a 2-part thing. He's going to do some readings, book signing, and then the next day we're going to do a run with Ben, and we're going to do like a cold plunge and just some meditation, some spiritual stuff, and just have like a good, healthy morning.
Yeah. So if
So
you
I'm
want
really
to
excited
be
about
in
that.
community with some people that might just change the way you look at the world, come to Go Brewing, meet Ben,
Yeah,
and who knows how it might change your life.
agreed. Hope to see you there.